Why can't Talib read? My Twitter war with Talib Kweli over Martin Luther King's stance on riots.
What are we going to talk about today?
Well, you see, Tabitha, today we're going to talk about somebody who I got into a bit of a Twitter scuffle with last week. Apparently he's a famous rap star, Talib Kweli.
Who is this Talib Kweli?
Well, I don't know. Let's see.
Let me finish my point. What happened. Let me finish my. That's exactly what happened. I'm going to let you finish your point. No, you're not, because you're talking.
Yes, I am. Hey.
Let me finish your point. No, let me finish my point before you talk.
Okay,
but let me finish my point.
Hold on. No, hold on now.
Before you talk.
I want to address something you said.
Then we don't have to have an interview if I can't talk.
Now, wait. Hold on. Who is he? Who is this guy?
Major hip-hop artist, Talib Kweli, who is a rapper, activist. Can we call you, I guess we can call him a raptivist.
Okay, a raptivist. Well, that's clever. You know, rap, that's great. Activism is great as long as it's for a good cause. You know, I'm an activist. I was actually an activist in a punk band. Here I am in the late 80s as a young teen playing a show. And, you know, I used to do activism in New York City before the internet was widely available, just collecting signatures for Mumia Jamal Washington, for Leonard Peltier, marching in the Gay Pride Parade, marching in the Pot Parade every year from Washington Square Park all the way to Central Park, you know, to legalize marijuana back in the 90s. There I am. So, of course, I think activism can be a good thing, and it's needed for just causes, and as long as it serves freedom and equality, and as long as it's non-destructive and non-violent, which brings us to the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, Black lives do matter, of course. Of course, everybody's lives matter, and I think the idea behind the Black Lives Matter movement is a good idea. However, I condemn any form of violence or reckless endangerment of people. I mean, you know, civil disobedience is the way to go. Martin Luther King Jr. knew that. He got that from Gandhi and Jane. He understood that. And people need to understand you cannot engage in violence or destroy other people's property. That's not civil disobedience, and that is not wise. Anyway, I don't know if this is what counts as raptivism, but it seems like Talib Kweli spends all day on Twitter tweeting so many tweets. I mean, look at this, 60 tweets since I signed on about 2 hours ago. 118,000 tweets. And basically what he's doing is he's just arguing with anybody who's even in the least bit critical of the BLM movement or Islam. He likes to call everybody Islamophobe, and lately he's calling everybody racist. I mean, just look at his feed, it's freaking ridiculous. And he seems to make a fetish out of arguing with people like Tariq Fatah, Maji Nawaz. Of course, you know Maji Nawaz is the one who coined the term the regressive left.
I call them the regressive left, defending Islamism and defending regressive values in the name of cultural tolerance. There's a section within the left, I refer to them as the regressive left. And I want to clarify, I don't mean all of those on the left. I mean a section that have come to the view, for the sake of political correctness, for the sake of tolerating what they believe is other cultures and respecting different lifestyles. They have an inherent hesitation to challenge some of the bigotry that can occur within minority communities. I mean, at the end of the day, if we truly subscribe to liberal human rights values in their universality and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they apply not just in favor of minority communities, but in some instances upon minority communities too. In protecting the group identity, we end up reinforcing illiberal values because we prioritize cultural tolerance over the progress and the advancement of liberalism within minority communities.
Another person that Talib Kweli likes to call a white supremacist and Islamophobe over Twitter is Maji Nawaz's friend and co-author, Sam Harris. Who is Sam Harris, you ask?
I'm not denying that certain people are bigoted against Muslims as people, and that's a problem.
Gross, it's racist. It's not, but it's so not. It's like saying, so not, you're a shifty Jew.
Yeah, it's gross and it's racist to make the distinction between Islamism and Muslims as people. Well, anyway, that was Sam Harris. And so it seems that this Talib Kweli is pretty much obsessed with going after anybody who makes any criticism, valid or otherwise, of Islam or the Black Lives Matter movement, etc. So just look at this guy's feed. I mean, everybody is racist. Brown-skinned people are white supremacists. Everybody is Hitler. I mean, this guy's a moron. I mean, I suppose that this guy, Talib Kweli, does good some of the time, I'm not sure, but if you look at his Twitter feed, it just looks like he's spreading hatred around and accusing everybody of everything that he doesn't like. Look at this poll to see if you are a white supremacist or actually Talib Kweli. And you know, it's racist to criticize the Quran. It's fucking moron. Apparently neuroscientists are white supremacists because Ben Carson is one, and so is Sam Harris. Piers Morgan, Zimbabwe director Robert Mugabe. Classic Beauty is racist. The term "muh" is racist. Avatars are racist. Mentioning Chicago is racist. What the fuck? On August 20th of this year, 2016, at 11:26 p.m., Talib Kweli tweeted out this Martin Luther King meme. We'll discuss this in greater detail in a few minutes, but for now, just notice that he is condemning riots. I mean, if you understand the English language and you read this, you can see that he does, in fact, condemn riots. But here's Talib Kweli tweeting out to over 1 million people, telling them that Dr. King don't condemn riots.
So this man, he does not know this word condemn?
Well, it's really unclear if he doesn't actually know the word condemn or if he doesn't actually understand Martin Luther King. Sorry, but Martin Luther King did condemn riots. Lila Dagash saw this on Twitter and took the opportunity to tell Talib how wrong and stupid he is. Who's Lila Dagash? Well, let Dave Rubin tell you.
An anti-regressive bounty hunter, a YouTuber, and a Twitter warrior. Lila Dagash, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve.
Like myself, Lila Dagash took exception to this slander against Dr. King. And because Lila Dagash is on my feed, I saw this, and I took exception to this. And you know, Tabitha, there are certain writers and thinkers and philosophers and activists that when people misquote them, I kind of take them personally. Among them being Gandhi, George Orwell, and Dr. Martin Luther King. So I tweeted this to Talib Kweli. Oh, and by the way, I go by Damien Case on Twitter, at least for now. So I tweeted to Talib Kweli. Only a person with poor reading skills and or low intelligence would misinterpret Dr. King's message as advocating riots. Fool. And then I tweeted this. You should have written doesn't rather than don't. Become more literate, please. You know, because in his original tweet, he had tweeted, here's why MLK don't condemn riots. He responds to me and a couple other people with, nobody is pro-riot or pro-violence. There's a root cause for something, don't be so superficial. Well, this really doesn't make any sense in light of his first tweet, and in light of all the tweets that he and his fans had made between these two tweets, doubling down, claiming that Martin Luther King Jr. did not condemn riots. Well, he did. So Lala Dagash and myself were both trying to tell this Talib Kweli that he's not understanding English, and that is not what Martin Luther King is saying. Martin Luther King saying that he does condemn the riots, and in addition to that, he condemns the conditions that make people riot. Try to tell Talib Kweli this, and all of a sudden you're a white supremacist, and his fans are going after me and all this kind of crazy stuff, which is pretty funny. And I think a lot of it has to do with trying to legitimize the worst of the Black Lives Matter movement by trying to say, hey, you know, they're like Martin Luther King. No, Martin Luther King would condemn the Black Lives Matter movement's methods. And I was left confused trying to figure out, did this Talib not understand English? Did he use the wrong word? Was he really that stupid and ignorant about Martin Luther King Jr. and his stance on violence? Or was he really trying to legitimize the violent Black Lives Matter movement people by comparing them to Martin Luther King Jr. or associating them with his views? It's still unclear. And the more I try to clear it up, the angrier people got. It's almost as if, by me asking a question, I'm calling him stupid. Well, I'm sorry, he was coming across as very stupid. So Talib Kweli has a bunch of fans believing that Martin Luther King Jr. did not condemn riots. I know, because they keep telling me over and over again, oh, it's true, what Talib says is true. No, morons, Talib is an idiot, and he's lying to you or he's stupid, and you're repeating these stupid lies. And so to legitimize rioting and violence, these people are tarnishing the name of Martin Luther King Jr. Well, it's time to clear the air about this and untarnish his name. What did Martin Luther King Jr. say? I backtracked the meme that Talib Kweli posted, and he got it from PBS, and I did fact check and the words are correct. So this is from a speech that Martin Luther King Jr. gave a little over 2 weeks before he was murdered. And this speech was at the Grosse Pointe High School on March 14, 1968, in which Dr. King said, "But it is not enough for me to stand before you tonight and condemn riots. It would be morally irresponsible for me to do that without at the same time condemning the contingent intolerable conditions that exist in our society." And he goes on. So, if you understand English well, it is very clear. He condemns the riots. And of course he condemned the conditions that underlie the riots. Now again, this was taken from a speech at Grosse Pointe High School, March 14th, 1968. Here's the speech. Link is in the descriptions if you want to read the whole thing. A little bit earlier in the speech he said, "We have seen the angered expressions of this despair and this bitterness in the violent rebellions that have taken place in cities all over our country." Sound familiar? So we can make a parallel between what's going on today to what Martin Luther King was talking about back then. Dr. King continued, "Now I think my views on nonviolence are pretty generally known." You would think so. Well, you know, there's really ignorant people like Talib Kweli and his fans. Dr. King continued, "I still believe that nonviolence is the most potent weapon available to the Negro in his struggle for justice and freedom in the U.S. Shortly thereafter, Dr. King said, "I would be the first to say that I am still committed to militant, powerful, massive non-violence as the most potent weapon in grappling with the problem from a direct action point of view." Shortly after that, he said, "But it is not enough for me to stand before you tonight and condemn riots." In other words, he condemns riots, and then on top of that, he's going to talk about and condemn the conditions that underlie the riots. Shortly after that, he uttered this other line that some people are misusing in order to justify or legitimize riots. He said, "A riot is the language of the unheard." Now that doesn't mean that a riot is a good thing. He's just saying it's the language of those who are so frustrated that they don't know what else to do. But make no mistake, Dr. King condemned riots. Talib Kweli is either stupid or malicious. So we're going to quickly go through the rest of the speech, but it's all there on your screen if you want to read it all. And then he concludes with his famous "free at last, free at last." I'm not going to say it because I wouldn't do it justice. Nobody could say it like Dr. King said it, so... Ooh, I'm getting chills just thinking about the way he says that. Okay, that's it. We just have to roll that clip now. Let's do that.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
Unfortunately, this particular speech was not filmed. The Other America was the name of the speech, but his other versions of the same speech given at other places were filmed. Each time he gave the speech, it was different, so it's worth watching, listening to, or reading each version of the speech. But to give this all more context, to show where exactly Dr. King stood on the issue of rioting and violence, here's some clips from another speech earlier that year.
Many in moments of deep bitterness engage in riots. Let me say, as I've always said, and I will always continue to say, that riots are socially destructive and self-defeating. I'm still convinced that non-violence is the most potent weapon available to oppress people in their struggle for freedom and justice. I feel that violence will only create more social problems than they will solve. That in a real sense it is impractical for the Negro to even think of mounting a violent revolution in the United States. So I will continue to condemn riots and continue to say to my brothers and sisters that this is not the way. Continue to affirm that there is another way. But at the same time, it is as necessary for me to be as vigorous in condemning the conditions which cause persons to feel that they must engage in riotous activities as it is for me to condemn riots. I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. In the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. What is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice...
And so you see, it couldn't be any more clear. Dr. King did not condone riots, and he did condemn riots. So don't listen to Talib Kweli, don't listen to anybody else that tries to legitimize riots and the more violent tactics and actions of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's clear that Dr. King would not approve. And though how I loathe to do so, we have to leave Dr. King and return to Talib Kweli. There was an excellent article by author Michael A. Sherlock about his little Twitter war with Talib, and the link is in the description below. I highly recommend it. Sherlock shows you how Talib thinks that criticism of a particular religion is racist. Islam is not a race, of course, and a religion is just a human-made construction. So somebody please tell this moron how to think. So yeah, he's one of those people who do not understand or acknowledge that Muslims are not a race, that criticism of a religion is not racist, and he's also one of those people who are fine with criticisms of other religions but freak out over criticisms of Islam. Michael Sherlock talks about this in his article about how approximately 85% of his focus is on criticizing Christianity, but when he criticizes Islam, oh well, Talib Kweli and other people like him complain and call him racist and Islamophobe, and I can relate. In my YouTube channel, my first 4 videos were about Christianity, the next 6 were not about Islam, it was about, well, the Bhagavad Gita. And nobody called me a bigot or a racist for all those videos. As soon as I make a video about Islam, all of a sudden I'm a racist bigot and an Islamophobe. Reading the article, it becomes apparent that Talib is one of those people who gets too emotional to think rationally and too angry to understand what he's reading. I mean, just read his tweets and it seems like he just catches a few words from Michael A. Sherlock's tweets and then just misunderstands all the other words and freaks out. Just like he misunderstood Dr. King, and he got angry when I told him so, and when Lalo Dagash told him so. He misunderstands Sherlock tweets, and pretty much everybody else. I mean, everybody's racist. There's also another new article by Stephen Knight, about the Spellcheckers blog, that details the Twitter argument between Talib and Maajid Nawaz, in which Talib is just so ignorant. And between Talib and Stephen Knight. Apparently, non-Muslims are not allowed to criticize Islam. But if you're a Muslim, as is Maajid Nawaz, you're still not allowed to criticize Islam. But seriously, folks, the ignorant and bigoted stuff that Talib tweeted to Maajid Nawaz is just shameful. It's just so ignorant. I mean, it's funny, because it's just so ignorant and so shameful. Ah, and look at this. This author also notices that Kweli has trouble reading, and that when he makes a mistake, he doesn't correct it, he just doubles down on his mistake. Again, the link for that is in the description below. Now, I'm going to make a prediction. I predict that Talib Kweli will make the news more and more for his ignorance and his mean-spirited nature, and his obsession with calling everybody racist over Twitter. He's going to freak out, he's going to inflate, he's going to blow up publicly, and then he's going to be deflated. It's going to get worse and worse, and the media will make a story out of it, and then he'll react to that and get worse even still, and then he's going to shoot himself in the foot by doing something so stupid that it's pretty much going to end his career. So, Tabitha, how shall we end this video?
Rap for me.
Oh, no, I can't rap.
You will rap for me.
Okay. Okay, now give me a beat, motherfucker. Wiki whack, I come back to attack. So watch my back, Jack. Coming on with the sonic assault that'll put you on ice like the Kanye wall. Disney and I get busy, spinning rocks all the time to keep you head busy. My name is Justin Amphibious. This rap is over, I'm through with this. If you like these horns, they're handmade by Tabitha. She's such a great artist. And if you would like to order these or order different custom-made antlers or horns or something like that, see the link in the video description below.
Donate to our Patreon or our GoFundMe.
Details in the video description below.
Subscribe, bitches.
And fuck the regressive left.